Alright folks, welcome to another beer review. Just finished watching Everton lose to City. It was to be expected, but after the first half you thought there's a chance we could potentially get something from this, but no shocks really. But to be honest, it was a game we weren't expecting points, so got to factor that in to your expectations. Anyway, so a positive Merseyside point is today's beer is from Neptune, and this is part of the Roasters project, which was a series of beers that they brewed using coffee, and had all three of this year's beers at the tap room when Mr. Blue Nose Beer Reviews was visiting. So me, him and Mersey Beers had a bit of a jaunt that weekend. Neptune's tap room's really good, by the way. And to have Mosaic on tap from the source was just, one of those like simple box tickers, as Raggy would call it. And yeah, I know you can see my tits perfectly in this ill-fitting Everton top. It's just a shame that even though especially the long sleeve kit's actually really nice, the quality of football is debatable. Anyway, not to dwell too much on that. So this is the coffee stout, which, spoiler alert, was my favourite beer of the three. One was stout, it was a pale ale or an IPA, can't remember, that worked very, very well. And then the weakest was the coffee cream ale. And I've never really enjoyed cream ales, to be honest. But yeah, so I know for a fact this is really, really nice. And yeah, straight out the fridge pretty much. So African Moon coffee blend. So flavour notes are spices. Don't know why I said it like that. Dates and apricots. Origin is Uganda. This is courtesy from Crosby Coffee. So African Moon, this smooth and rich stout has flavours of dark chocolate, dried fruits, toasted nuts and hints of spice, with an underlying earthiness lifted by vanilla, using African Moon coffee beans sourced by passionate community farmers from the Rwenzoris mountains in Africa. I know for a fact I've not said that correctly. I do apologise. The Roasters Project. We've worked in partnership with our friends at Crosby Coffee, an independent roaster whose focus is serving distinctive coffee and sourcing beans from diverse regions across the globe. Don't know why I'm rocking from side to side. 3 delectable coffee-infused beers are the result of this special project. We hope you enjoy them as much as we have enjoyed collaborating. And I tell you what, the artwork on these cans is absolutely stunning. Beautifully, beautifully presented. Even the incorporation of the text works really, really well. A lot of the time you find brewers who've got a really beautiful looking can and then just clumsily put like a box or clumsy typography on there, and it takes away from the design. But we know that's not the main part of a beer. It's what's in the can itself or bottle or whatever. But yeah, beautifully presented this. Picked up this can from Penny Lane, Londis, which is definitely worth going to if you're in Liverpool. And my God, you'd think you were in like Shoreditch or something when you go to Penny Lane. Beautiful park though. Just a lot of really annoying twatty people. But a group of people, no matter what part of the world you go to, it to me is a group of annoying twatty people. But anyway, I digress. So I've had a few beers that Crosby Coffee have been involved in. Good friend Mersey Beers has, on some of his hop drops, left me with some of their coffee beans. He even got me a nice tote bag for the collection, even though I found that I only actually use about 2 or 3 of my tote bags. I just find it a useful bag, but if it's a good size. So, beer in the glass then. And yeah, that's not necessarily jet black. You get some really nice brown chocolatey hues to it. Just shy 2 fingers worth of a beige looking head. Nice compact bubbles. Got an element of creaminess to it. I think I am coming down with a bit of a cold, so I don't know how that's going to come across when I actually drink this and review it. But if you follow me on Untappd, you know that I gave this a very, very, very good score. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Anyway, I'll just shut up and give it a sniff. And thankfully I can still get a good nose on this, even though I'm congested. It's a specific motorway joke there, here, or everywhere. You're definitely getting the sort of like dark fruity side coming from the coffee. Loads of berry, like blackberry, a little bit of smokiness as well. Beautiful earthiness. Stout itself, lovely malt profile. Just a beautiful coffee nose. But yeah, there's like a char savoury earthiness there as well, which is very much appreciated. God, my nose just seems to be getting worse as this video goes on. I probably sound really silly as well when I do anyway, because I've got a very strange sounding voice. But beautiful dark chocolate there. Definitely get lots of vanilla. Have they actually used vanilla in the brewing process? Don't think so. No, but there's a really, really distinct vanilla aroma there. It smells fantastic. Let's see what we get on the taste. Cheers, folks. Apologies about that. I think I spat a little bit out then. Oh, that's good. That's really, really strong on its coffee side of things. That was a very clumsily constructed sentence. Oh, beautiful body for its ABV as well. I know we're in an age where a stout of this ABV may sometimes put people off from trying it, but my God, maybe the coffee's added a bit of like a texture to it as well. I don't know. Can that happen when you use coffee and beer? I'm not a brewer. I'm not a very good beer reviewer, let alone giving you information about the beer itself. I don't know what's going on with that. Look at that. How's that a hairline? How is that a hairline? To be fair, I've not washed it, so it's a bit everywhere. And it always looks shit from the side. Anyway. Yeah, bags full of like coffee bean. I don't know if you've ever, when you've got like whole coffee beans and you just like think, oh, I'll have a bit of a try of that. And just eating them raw. Well, not raw because they're roasted, so they're not, technically they're not raw, are they? If they were raw, it's the fresh berry. I don't know, is that how you would discuss that? How disproportionate is my body, by the way? Look how skinny compared to everything else my arm looks. And then you've got that, oh God, that's not very flattering at all. Yeah, it's quite like a complementary fit in some respects, but then again, it just emphasises, you should see my stomach in this. Yeah, anyway, but I love it. Yeah, you definitely get the coffee on the back end as well, like the genuine coffee bean earthiness. And you could get that slight scorch from the roast. I'm not too sure how intensely roasted that is, but to me, if you've ever had, and this is just gonna cater to a very specific part of the UK, if you've ever been to Booths, and with the coffee that they do, they have like a black roast, which is just like very intensely like roasted. I'm getting that sort of flavour. Obviously, the quality of the coffee this is exponentially high. Although Booth's coffee is quite nice in bean form, but it's very, very strong. But I've always said it, I like it. If you're going to put something in a beer, unless you purposely want it to be a subtle addition, then say it's going to be a subtle addition. But if you're making like a, we'll use the classic example, a Rauch beer, I really love it when it gets to the point where a lot of people would not be able to drink it. I want like a slightly abrasive, that's a very, very popular word when I'm trying to describe that sort of thing. Like really strong in your face. And this has that. To be honest, it feels like it's got that a lot more than I picked up when I initially had it. But man, that's very, very good. That's how, for me personally, for my tastes and preferences, if you're going to make a coffee stout, then this is how you make it. It's clear as day that the coffee they've used is amazing coffee. And it complements a very solidly brewed mid ABV stout. I'm not too sure if they've used this base stout for other releases, if it's like a recipe they use or brew on a continual basis. But I'd be interested to have this, whatever the stout is, without any additions, because I can tell you what, it's a fucking good stout on its own. But the wonderful utilisation of the coffee on this. It's not too rounded, it's not like blended like a dainty dandelion in the wind or whatever. That's a terrible attempt at trying to be poetic. But mind you, if you were to categorize, can't even speak, categorize my reviews, they'd be a really badly written Greek tragedy, I'd say. But yeah, that's absolutely bang on. I've not done this beer any justice at all. But if you've been a long time subscriber, fucking staining my moustache, man. If you've been a long time subscriber, you know I gush over coffee and beer. I've done plenty of coffee, stouts, all sorts on the channel. It's two of my favourite things coming together. I think I had a really good standout one the other day from Azvex, the breakfast stout, Zombie Squirrel Returns. Completely different type of stout, but the coffee that they'd used for that, I think it was Neighbourhood coffee, worked fantastically. And Neptune, with that stout and the specific coffee that they've used with Crosby Coffee, again, beautifully matched, in my opinion. And yeah, I think that's a terrific stout. It's what I love to have when I'm having a coffee stout. And yeah, I think it was brewed in January. I'm not too sure. Well, it had to be if it's from this year. But yeah, I've already had a few beers within the first, 6 weeks of 2024 that for me will be very hard to beat. And I'd happily put that on that list as well. Neptune, Crosby Coffee, done an absolutely terrific job with this. Definitely one of the best Neptune beers that I've ever had. And yeah, I'm sure you can still pick up cans of this. Beautiful stuff. And yeah, just look at the artwork. Not too sure who's done the artwork. Let's see if I can find out who it is. There's nothing there really, But they've done a wonderful job, and that just works perfectly. And the other cans have that sort of like same style, albeit in different colour palettes. And yeah, it just works. It's a beautifully presented can, and the beer inside is just beautifully brewed. And if you like your coffee in your beers, it's going to take a lot to find a beer as good as that, in my opinion. Anyway, and do you know what? For its ABV, I know people always say that, like, well, it was low ABV, but it had a beautiful body. It doesn't have to be a stupid stout, does it, to have a good body? But that velvety, it's still a little bit lighter than you would expect a beer of that ABV to have that sort of body, but my God, it works absolutely beautifully. And that's probably one of the best sort of like coffee flavours and varieties that I've had in a stout or a beer or in terms of coffee in general for a hell of a long time. So massive shout out to Crosby Coffee roasters on that one. Anyway, if you've tried this or the other two beers in the series, so let me know your thoughts, opinions down below. I think they did this last year as well, or it might be a continual thing they've done for a few years now. I'm not too sure. As always, I'm sure Mersey Beers, who actually knows a hell of a lot more than I do about the world of beer, will tell you. And yeah, don't know where I'm stood like this, as if I'm like a presenter. Looks like I'm scared of something. Anyway. Yeah. Everton are fucking shit. But this beer is not. And that's what I'm going to take away from this. Anyway. And I'm going to punish myself even more by watching the rest of the Liverpool game. Anyway, cheers for watching. Take care. Links to Neptune as well as Crosby Coffee in the description. And yeah, if I can find out who's done the artwork, I'll put their information in the description also. And maybe a little bit more information about the coffee itself if people want to look into that. Will he actually put that in his video description? Will he even have a video description when he uploads this? Will he even put up a thumbnail? You'll find out. Bye.